Chapter 27 Evolution. Evolutionary biology is the study of history of life forms on Earth. Evolution is a continuous process. Origin of life. When we look at stars on a clear night sky, we are in a way looking back in time. Stellar distances are measured in light years. What we see today is an object whose emitted light started its journey millions of years back and from trillions of kilometers away and reaching our eyes right now. However, when we see object in our immediate surroundings, we we see objects in our immediate surroundings, we see them instantly and hence in the present time. Therefore, when we see stars, we apparently are keeping into the past. The origin of life is considered a unique event in the history of the universe. The universe is vast. The universe is very old, almost 20 billion years old. Huge clusters of galaxies comprise of the universe. Galaxies contain stars and clouds of gas and dust. Considering the size of the universe, Earth is indeed a speck. The Big Bang theory proposed by Lemaitre attempts to explain to us the origin of the universe. It talks of a singular huge explosion unimaginable in physical terms. The universe expanded and hence the temperature came down. Hydrogen and helium formed sometimes later. The gases condensed under gravitation and formed the galaxies of the present day universe. In the solar system of the Milky Way galaxy, Akashganga, Earth was supposed to have formed about 4.5 billion years back. There was no atmosphere on early Earth. Water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide, and ammonia released from the molten mass covered the surfaces. The UV rays from the sun broke up water into hydrogen and oxygen, and the lighter H2 escaped. Oxygen combined with the ammonia and methane to form water, CO2 and other. The ozone layer was formed. As it cooled, the water vapor fell as rain to fill all the depressions and form oceans. Life appeared 500 million years after the formation of Earth, that is almost 4 billion years back. Very important, 4 billion years back. Theories of origin of life. Theory of special creation. Coined by Father Suarez. Conventional religious literature tells us about the theory of special creation. The theory has three connotations. One, that all the living organisms, species, or types that we see today were created as such. Two, that the diversity was always the same since creation and will be the same in the future also. Three, that Earth is about 4,000 years old. All these ideas were strongly challenged during the 19th century. A common permissible conclusion is that Earth is very cold, not thousands of years as thought earlier, but billions of years old. Theory of Panspermia. Extraterrestrial origin of life was proposed by theory of Panspermia. Some scientists believe that life came from outside. Early Greek thinkers thoughts of units of life called spores were transferred to different planets, including Earth. Panspermia is still a favorite idea for some astronomers. 3. Theory of spontaneous generation, abiogenesis. For a long time, it was also believed that life came out of decaying and rotting materials, matter like straw, mud, etc. According to theory of abiogenesis, life originates from non-living. Abiogenesis was supported by Van Helmont. Theory of spontaneous generation is disapproved by Francisco Redi, Al Spallanzani, and Louis Pasteur. Fourth, the theory of biogenesis. Pasteur finally disapproved abiogenesis and proved biogenesis. Spontaneous generation theory was dismissed once and for all. Louis Pasteur, by careful experimentation, demonstrated that life comes only from pre-existing life. Swan-necked flask experiment was performed by Louis Pasteur. He showed that in the pre-sterilized flask, life did not come from the killed yeast, while in the another flask open to where new living organisms arose from killed yeast. Pasteur demonstrated that life comes from life with the help of flask with boiled broth. However, this did not answer how life first came on the earth. 5. Theory of catastrophism, given by G. Cuvier. Oparin and Haldane theory or chemical theory. Most advanced theory of origin of life is of Oparin and Haldane. Oparin of Russia and Haldane of England proposed that the first form of life could have formed from pre-existing non-living organic molecules, example RNA, protein, etc., and that formation of life was preceded by chemical evolution, that is, formation of diverse organic molecules from inorganic constituents. Oparin's theory was based on artificial synthesis. Life cannot be originated from inorganic materials now because of high atmospheric oxygen. The book Origin of Life was written by Oparin. As in primitive Earth, O2 was absent. As in primitive Earth, O2 was absent, the ozone layer was not present. The conditions on Earth were high temperature, volcanic storms, reducing atmosphere containing CH4NH3, etc. In 1953, S.L. Miller, an American scientist, created similar conditions in a laboratory scale. Urey and Miller's design spark discharge apparatus for testing chemical origin of life. Possible early source of energy was lighting and UV radiations. He created lead to discharge in a closed flask containing CH4H2 ammonia and water vapor at 800 degrees Celsius. In Miller's experiment, the ratio of CH3, CH4, NH2 and H2 was 2:1:2. He observed formation of amino acids, glycine, aniline and aspartic acid. In similar experiments, others observed formation of sugar, nitrogen bases, pigments and fats. Analysis of meteorite content also revealed similar compounds, indicating that similar processes are occurring elsewhere in space. With this limited evidence, the first part of the conjecture theory, that is chemical evolution, was more or less accepted. Term hot dilute soup, prebiotic soup, was given by Haldane for primitive seawater. The most primitive cell, like chemical aggregates capable of growth and division, were called microspheres. The term microsphere was given by Sidney Fox. Microsphere have a membrane of lipid. Many microspheres aggregate to form co-servates. Under certain conditions, scientists have got cells-like structures without its or two organization. They are called co-servates. Co-servates are colloidal suspension. Very important. Co-servates are colloidal suspension. Protobiogenists occurred more than 3.5 billion years ago. Co-servates were experimentally produced by O'Parent and Sidney Fox. Co-servates are molecular aggregates surrounded by lipid membrane. We have no idea about how the first self-replicating metabolic capsule of life arose. The first non-cellular form of life could have originated 3 billion years back. They would have been giant molecules, RNA, proteins, polysaccharides, etc. These capsules reproduce their molecules, perhaps organic compounds first evolved on Earth and required for origin of life were proteins and amino acids. Among macromolecules, nucleic acids are the most essential for the origin of life. Nucleic acids have been the basic origin of life. RNA is considered the biological catalyst when life originated on Earth. The first cellular form of life did not or possibly originate till about 2000 million years ago. These were probably single cells. All life forms were in water environment only. Presence of NaCl in body fluid indicates that life originated in primitive ocean. Water is most important for origin of life. Life originated in water, ocean in Precambrian era. First living beings were prokaryotes, which were chemoheterotrophic and anaerobic. First photosynthetic organisms were cyanobacteria, which releases O2 in atmosphere and the earth becoming oxidizing. Oldest fossil belongs to BGA called archaeospheroids, about 2.9 billion years old. This version of a biogenesis, that is the first form of life, arose slowly through evolutionary forces from non-living molecules, is accepted by majority. However, once formed, how the first cellular form of life could have evolved into the complex biodiversity of today is a fascinating story. Evidences for evolution. Very important. Evidences for evolution.